especially if you have space that you can spend time with people that you love and there's clean water and good food there, then the fuck else you need money for? That's some old people shit.
Hello and welcome to the Trip Sitting Podcast, where we explore what it means to be human. This week we have William Padilla-Brown, who is the founder of MycoSymbiotics. Now, I met Will for the first time last week at Psychedelic Science 2023. I met him at the conference and had a conversation with him, and then later that day I went to an after party that he threw, which was just a lot of fun. And Will's actually one of those guys that I've been following kind of since I started trip sitting. And so for me to be able to meet him, have a conversation with him, and then get him on the podcast was really, really awesome for me. So this is kind of one of those full circle moments. He's definitely somebody that I look up to. And the reason for that is that he's somebody who really just speaks his mind, and he speaks his truth, and he speaks it out of love. He's not afraid to hold back and tell you exactly what he's thinking. And he really is just trying to help so many people with what he's doing, and he's on his own vibe, and I respect and appreciate the fuck out of that. So I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Thank you again, Will, for coming on. And also, before you start, if you wouldn't mind and rating this podcast, that way we get in front of more people, and then making sure that you also subscribe, and then go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok at tripsitting.blog. And if you ever need to get in contact with me, shoot me an email, tripsittingblog@gmail.com. Now, that's that, and I hope you enjoy. Appreciate you coming on. I see you got the Puffco handy.
For sure.
You still with the certified hash that you're using right now?
You already know.
Nice, man. That was fun at the sheesh sesh, which is fucking impossible to say.
Yeah. You got it out though. Sheesh sesh.
That was a good time, man. What was the idea behind just like getting the van, and like that was the thing that people were just gonna stay in and like drive around the block while we're all like smoking the Puffco?
Well, that wasn't the original intention, but it just so happened that we ended up at a venue that had licensing for legal public consumption, but it's like supposed to be in the van. Like Colorado has interesting regulations apparently, that you can just smoke in a moving vehicle legally. I guess like the driver has to be separated to some extent, and there's like certain things you can and can't do, but that wasn't the original intention, but it ended up being the vibe. And like, sometimes you just got to wiggle with what the universe hands you, and it ends up being like fun, like super dope,
Yeah, it was a fun event for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was great to, obviously we met last week at Psychedelic Science. So definitely wanted to kind of talk about like what was your experience at that conference, because I know you've been to quite a few conferences and spoken at a lot of events before.
That event was crazy. I mean, I was talking at the Mushroom Summit, which was like a 2-day jump off at the beginning of the event, while there was like mostly like private workshops and stuff like that going on. The Mushroom Summit was happening, and it was a little bit more open. I mean, it still was a private event, but yeah, I got to talk on a panel on economics and opportunity, scalability in the industry for mushrooms. That was dope. But just being in the environment of the conference with 12,000 people for a week, and like a lot of those people had like significant, wealth behind them to be able to exist in that space. It was very interesting. A lot of people with a lot of very, forward-thinking ideas. So for me, it was just an incredible opportunity for networking and doing business.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get some good business done.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we were meeting with people that wanted to work with us. We were able to go stop by a laboratory and get some R&D done with one of the gentlemen that was on the panel with me. Runs a manufacturing business for gummies that are fully has got all their paperwork. You know what I mean? Like so that they can get into the big stores and all that kind of stuff. So I was able to get some good business done, meet great people. And yeah, I think we'll be able to build on a lot. I mean, we're still like catching up with all the people that we connected with out there. So yeah, it was a lot of opportunity.
Hell yeah, man. I wanted to ask you, so, kind of going back to the beginning, like when and how did your love of mushrooms begin?
For sure. My love of mushrooms. Um, my love of mushrooms probably started in my late teens. Um, like in my late teens, because like when I first got introduced to mushrooms, it was just like how most teens get introduced to mushrooms, I would assume. Where we live out here in central Pennsylvania, there's like a lot of like old deadlock like parents for my generation, like people that was in deadlocks, like parents of like kid of like I can't even say kids. I'm about to be 30. Like they're parents of people that's my age. So like whenever I was a teenager, that culture just kind of like existed around here, and yeah, I was able to connect with people that um, that had access to it, and like I didn't really like. I tried mushrooms then, like magic mushrooms and stuff, and I didn't really like fall in love with them where I wanted to like, yo, I'm gonna be about it. Not right off the bat. I didn't really start getting into mushrooms until it was probably like the second time that I ate magic mushrooms. I was still pretty young, and I got a bag. I don't remember like where I even got the like. I remember my homie came with the bag from like one of his friends, and like we each had a bag with an eighth in it, an eighth ounce of mushrooms, and that was like that's what you eat. That's the dose. Like so, like we're like 16, 17, with this. I mean, like that. I would take a second before I would think a little bit before I'm about to go make sure the right situation. I'm just like I had an apartment when I think I was 17 at least because I had an apartment when I was 17. I was in my own house.
Yeah.
And my friends was like, yeah, eat all the dust in the bag. It'll get you super geeked. Like, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat the whole thing. And I'm eating it, and like my stomach is just ripping, hurting so bad, and like I'm just gone. I'm like faded, like trying to catch myself in the mix of. I'm like, bro, like it geeks me sometimes when I understand that like I could take like zero point 0.2 of a gram of psilocybin mushrooms and like have have the therapeutic effects and the antidepressant effects like if it was legal when I was little,
Hmm.
like zero point 0.2 would be the dose, right, for like just like regularly interacting with life. Like for LSD it would be like 10
10,
micrograms,
yeah.
maybe 5 micrograms, bro. But like I'm out here eating a cut. I'm out here eating like 5, 6, 700 micrograms of L as like a kid, bro. Like I'm just like, woo! Like freaking like you just took the whole bottle you only needed a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like so I'm like trying to figure out like because like it took me a while to figure out that whole just like anybody you can't just like go into that experience and know what it is. It's not like mommy and daddy walking you across the street when you're little. You get years to figure out how to interact in this reality. You get thrown into that one and it's just like, oh shit, do I look left, do I look right, what's up? So like either way I'm coming to my senses and I'm just like feeling super sick in my stomach and I'm like what did I eat, like, and then I'm like what have I been eating, and then I'm just like what have I been consuming, and I'm just like really just thinking about like what I put in my body. And like the first thing I did, I was like going on the internet, literally like while I'm tripping, I'm just like, how do you grow these mushrooms, right? Because I'm like, what is this shit? Like, and like, I'm like, what is in me that's making me feel like this? Like, so
Hmm.
I'm like looking up how to grow it, and it's just like horse shit, cow shit, and I'm just like, wait. And it's like vermiculite, and like I used to grow, like I used to do hydroponics since I was mad young. Like I started growing when I was like 16, worked at a hydroponic store off and on, and like that was like the last job I actually had before I started my business. So like I knew about like some grow shit from growing like herb and shit and like
Hmm.
growing hydroponics. And it said vermiculite and like cow shit or horse shit. And like I was able to see the vermiculite in the bag. I knew what vermiculite looked like. And I was like, yo, my homies and me just like ate like animal shit and vermiculite out the bottom of this bag. And I'm just like, this is fucked up. And then I started thinking, I'm like, yo, this is unregulated. Like I know motherfuckers be like trimming up their herb with like cats crawling around and they be like smoking blunts and shit. I'm just like, I don't want nothing to do with that. Like I want people that's like knows how to treat their, like it don't have to be regulated or not, but I know that when it's not regulated, like some people
Hmm.
just like be in some grimy trap house dealing with your product.
Yeah.
So like,
Literally just throwing shit at a wall and then selling it to people.
bro, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, I want to make sure that my shit's clean. So like, my fascination with mushrooms like really started to like come around like the second or third trip, and it
Hmm.
was mm, like more so that I valued the experience that I was having, but I didn't trust the people that I was getting it from. So I
Yeah.
was just like, all right, let me grow my own clean. That's back then I found out that like once the cap opens, it stops producing as much psilocybin, and people were selling these big ass blown out caps that you
Hmm.
have to eat more to get as geeked as you want to get. And then
Yeah.
on top of it, once the cap opens, it's more susceptible to deterioration, to be to be contaminated by bacteria or something to break it down. If you harvest it before the cap opens, it's like more vital, more viable, and less likely to make your stomach hurt. So like there was just like a bunch of factors. So you know what I mean? I just figured out how to grow my own, and then like
Did
my
you
stomach.
start fucking with like other psychedelics too, like around this time, or were you like
Oh,
mostly
for
just like, okay,
surely.
gotcha,
Yeah, for surely. Like I figured out how to extract DMT. We would like order
root
acacia,
bark?
the root bark off like
Yeah.
eBay and shit like that back in the day, and we was like go to the hardware store and like get all the shit you need to extract DMT. We played around with doing that. And like it was back in like the Silk Road days, so like homies was getting like breath mint vials of like L liquid, and like there was like also like 2CB and 25I was around a bunch whenever I was younger. So I tried those. um and like yeah, DMT was around since I was like 16. Like you could just like at high school motherfuckers had like crystal sand looking DMT, bro. Like the first time we tried that shit, like my homies was like driving a car, just like blazing that shit on top of herb. Like I feel comfortable telling these stories now that the world's all changing, because these are stories that like literally you're the first podcast that anybody's ever heard, like the real deal, like
This is what
how
I
I got
like.
geeked. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like so like me and my homies are just little, like, you know, like minors. Literally, I don't
Yeah.
recommend this for whatever. I do believe society needs to change, so I tell my stories wholly and true. But yeah, we were like my homie was literally driving a car, ripping a bowl of weed with DMT on top of it, and like we were all just passing that shit around, like,
Yeah.
bro,
Well,
wild.
see,
But like,
like I like hearing these stories because, like, I mean, obviously, like within this community, like everybody I think has like such a big emphasis on like healing and like how do you say, you know, making sure that like everyone's in the right set and setting and like you're using it safely, knowing where you're getting it from, and like, yes, I
yeah,
agree with all that, and all these things are important, but like a lot of us that I think are interested in this now, especially in these, this is how we did it. Like I took so much fucking LSD in the dumbest fucking settings before, and like that's what got me interested in the more like healing aspects to then actually start taking it seriously. But like I kind of needed the fuck around and find out stage in order to get here.
yeah, 100%. And like it didn't really take me fucking around that much before, like, cause like when I first started even consuming herb, like I came at it intellectually,
Hmm.
like my grandfather had just passed away from cancer. I looked at it on the internet. I found out it could be beneficial for like healing and everything. So like, I always looked up everything on the internet before I put it in my body. Also, because I never did, like when I was really young, especially like if I looked at a substance and it had like you could use this and potentially die, like your heart could like be blah blah blah, blah. Like anything that was like that shit, like like anything like coke, heroin, none of that. I never tried none of that shit. That's like you could use it potentially one time and just die. Fuck no, I'm
Hmm.
not trying that shit. Like I was like, oh, so like all these psychedelics has like long history of use. You could literally take so much that you could like it's like hard to hurt yourself. I mean, the research chemicals, that's a whole nother story. That like definitely be careful as fuck with those things. Like,
Hmm.
but like all of the classic psychedelics, like it's like hard to hurt yourself with those things. So
Yeah,
like
like by the time that you could consume that much, you're gonna be tripping so goddamn hard that like
your motor
you're
functions
not
probably
gonna
won't
be
go
able to even put it in your fucking body.
straight up. So like, so I felt more comfortable with that kind of stuff. Uh, but yeah, I don't even I can't I kind of. Oh yeah, so like I also wasn't the type of person to like trip and go to parties and stuff. Like all my
Hmm.
friends were doing that. They would like take substance and they would like watch movies or play video games or go to a party or go to a festival or all this kind of shit. And like my first couple experiences, I was like at my homie's house, like maybe a little party was going on, a couple people around, and like the experiences were so intimate and so potent that I knew immediately that I wanted to like go do this alone
Yeah.
and like figure out what it was before I even tried to
Like
go into a
explore your own
setting.
mind, like truly understand like what is the
Hmm.
nature of this thing.
Yeah, and like a lot of my friends would be like, how come when you trip you learn stuff, and then when I trip I just see funny shit?" And like I'm just like, well, you are like out at some crazy party with loud music blasting and colors shooting all out like that's already trippy, like
Hmm.
in its own, like it's very stimulating. So like I very quickly just started like going home, practicing meditation, listening to binaural beats, reading books, reading esoteric texts, looking at different lithographs, chanting, doing mudras, mantras, like all these different kinds of modalities
Mhm.
until reality started to unfold in a way that felt beneficial to me, until reality started to reflect the what I wanted to see in the world, or make me feel a little bit more comfortable, um, or make me feel a little bit more like in alignment. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, this makes me feel good. When I eat this makes me feel good. When I hear these sounds, this makes me feel good. So like I first started like growing my own food, and like that's what really transitioned into like the mushroom business that I'm in now. Is like I started growing my own food. I started growing organic. There's always mushrooms when you grow organic. And then my son was born like right around that same time when I was like 20, and I just stopped doing illegal shit. Like I was like, all right, I'm not gonna like risk losing time with my son. It's not worth it. Like I can figure out how to use my intelligence to do something better. Like not like that something legal is better than not being illegal, but like something that's not gonna risk my freedom. Like I live in central Pennsylvania, you know what I mean? Like it's just like I could fight for the cause all I want, but it's not my place to be behind bars because I was like trying to fight for the cause. It's my place to be like helping motherfuckers learn how to do citizen science, like how to cultivate, how to do all that kind of stuff. I'm more valuable to the cause this way, helping people learn how to feed themselves and, make their medicine and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, and I like how you brought that up, the citizen science part, 'cause that's actually my next question is like, what exactly does that mean to be a citizen scientist? Because I know that that's a term that you're described as a lot, and that's how you describe yourself too.
All right, so like the citizen scientist part is like more applicable in a reductionist like English world or
Mhm.
social setting. It's because like in like the English speaking world, and like a lot of people would classically call it the West, but west of us is Asia. So I don't like to have a Eurocentric mindset. So I don't say East and West because I'm not in Europe. Like east of me is not Asia. Like
Yeah.
east of me is Europe. So like in the English speaking, and I'm just speaking on my own experiences. You can go into any other colonial reality or whatever, and you might find similar experiences. But in the English speaking world, it tends to be very reductionist. You meet somebody, they say, "What do you do? Who are you?" They want to reduce you down to like a basic understanding of what you are and what you're doing. And in this world, a lot of there's a lot of prestige built up upon people's titles that they receive for going through the gambit of social situations from schools, college, fraternity, XYZ to get their prestigious position in the world. And for me to go around saying I'm a scientist, a lot of people encourage me to go around saying I'm a scientist. Now, if I know people that do real medicine work, right? Like, cause like come down to the end of the story, like I'm of Western African heritage, indigenous Caribbean, indigenous Central American with Portuguese colonizer genetic, and like my makeup is more of like natural medicine. We did not do pharmaceuticals this way. We did not do social systems this way. I'm literally speaking in English and using Roman politics with a social security number in a world that was made up by people that's not me. So like I know motherfuckers that do medicine in the bush,
Hmm.
right? So like how you gonna tell the bushman if the bushman comes out and says I'm a doctor? Yo, people be like, no, you're going to jail, bro. Like that's not acceptable. You can't go around saying you're a doctor, right? So like I go around say I'm a scientist. Like it's like on that same kind of vibe, you know what I mean? Because like there's
Yeah.
people that went through like college and blah 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 whatever. But again, I also like kind of mock the social system that I'm in because like man, fuck you gonna pay all that money to go to school. I taught myself how to do molecular biology, do PCR, gel electrophoresis, and sequencing in a couple months during the pandemic. When motherfuckers pay mad bread to go to school and they can barely even touch the machines because they're so expensive. So it's kind of like a mockery to the whole system at the same time. But like the citizen science thing protects me in a reductionist social system where people classify themselves with certain prestige and you have to do all these different kinds of things. The citizen science allows me to go, doing my science work and gives people it's for other people. It's not
Yeah.
for me. Like that title's for other people to be able to like fit me into
So
their
like
brain
put
in a
you
way.
into a fucking box because they can't quite understand and
Yeah,
conceptualize like the fact that like, wait, how are you a scientist if you haven't gone to college and gotten a fucking PhD?
yeah,
Shit
and
like
so to
that.
just like to like yeah, just to bring it down to the basic reductionist description of it, like I'm a
Yeah.
citizen scientist because I'm not officially have a degree in any kind of scientific field, but I do practice science as an individual, as a citizen, on my own terms, in my own lab. A lot of citizen scientists will use community laboratories or will practice science in a home setting, but they use the scientific method to come to conclusions that are just as valid as anybody that's doing it with, whatever kind of funding they're getting from universities or governments or private entities.
For sure, man. I mean, something that psychedelics like really sparked in me was just the questioning of these societal norms and why we do the things we do and why we believe the things we do. And at the end of the day, there's actually really no reason for any of it other than some colonizer like at some point has basically said like this is how we're going to do things, and they had so much power that it was really hard to fight against that. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point it kind of just became those norms. But it's up to us. And I think the psychedelics really helped me start questioning those norms and being able to then kind of all come together and realize like, hey, like we're allowed to kind of change these systems that are in place.
It's our birthright, honestly, to do so, and especially in this critical moment where we're really truly reaching the singularity. Some people may have entered into the singularity before others, due to the density of their situation increasing the speed of time. Time moves faster with more things around, and uh, in this moment, anything that you think is going to take 10 years or 15 years is going to happen sooner because of the energy behind everything. And a lot of the systems of the old world or the old realities of wealth structures and dynamics are unsustainable, and we do have a time frame within our lifetimes in which they will not sustain themselves. So there's going to be a transition in wealth and what wealth actually means and what value is and what people actually value. So I think that this psychedelic moment is coming in an important time, at the most important time, at a critical time. In For me, the overlying or the overarching theme is nature relatedness, because a lot of the people that are consuming these substances are having experiences that makes them feel connected to nature, and some people have grown up in cities their entire life without being able to connect with nature, myself included. Until I was around 17, 18 years old, like, I didn't go into the forests or anything like that. I went into the forest to go get high in a place where people wouldn't get mad at me for being weird. You know what I mean? And then I started to see the forest, and like, it was always just a blur on the side of a highway in between cities for me. So to be able to get out in there and to be able to know that so many people are taking these substances that is like directing them towards nature relatedness, I think people are going to start to value nature, and with valuing nature, wealth changes, because when you value nature and you truly can connect with nature and understand nature, fiat currency doesn't feel or seem as that much as valuable, especially if you have space that you can spend time with people that you love and there's clean water and good food there. Then the fuck else you need money for?
I mean,
That's the whole bullshit.
to me it's about like, I mean, realizing like what's real and what isn't real. Like money is fake, money is a made up system, like that's
Mhm.
not a real thing. Like even this, we're talking on a screen right now, like us
Mhm.
connecting, yeah, this is dope and all, but like this still isn't real. As far as if we're both together face to face having that conversation, like that's a real interaction when you're out in nature and you're experiencing the trees and you have your feet on the ground. Like that's real, that feels real to me. Whereas there's so
Mhm.
many things I think that we do in our society that I think people mistake for being real, but at the end of the day, like these are just fake systems that were put into place and it's not legitimate. So I think
Well,
that
yeah,
shift of wealth is, yeah.
that could go deep. I mean, it's like a lot of people live in a world of human ideology. Like, a lot of people are like multiple generations into a world of human ideology. I oftentimes will ask people, I'm like, when's the last time your family was on the land? Like, when was the last time your family was growing their own food as a family? Do you know?
No, not at
You
all.
don't remember? You don't know when your grandparents or great grandparents came? Where'd you come from?
I'm 100% Ashkenazi Jewish, so pretty much all over like Eastern Europe.
Hmm.
And then sometime in the early 1900s, a lot of my family ended up coming over here just because that wasn't necessarily the safest place to be Jewish.
Yeah. So you don't have you don't know the story beyond that, and y'all came here and became urban people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So like, that's like it goes deep. Like, I ask people that question because like at a certain point, our families put shoes on and started being in houses with controlled environments and stopped touching the land. But like, before that, we used to be able to go outside and know it was going to rain in a couple weeks and know when the weather, like know when the crops was going to come, know when the water, all of that kind of shit. Motherfuckers was just that was default mode. Like there wasn't even anything that wasn't organic until the end of World War II. Like once the United Nations forced all of the world leaders and the world powers that had turned all of these resources into chemical bioweapons, they were like, you can't use these anymore. You're going to destroy the earth. So they were like, all right, let's just use these to fertilize plants and keep pests off of plants, like, and created a whole chemical agricultural industry.
And then
But
start
before
putting that
that,
into our bodies.
you know what I mean? And in the canned foods, because everybody thought that the world was going to end all the time. So like everybody started eating preservative foods, and then they didn't stop. Like preservative foods was specifically because it was war times, and then motherfuckers just didn't stop because it was like
cheap.
Shelf stable is the most effective way to make the most money off of your product, and blah blah blah. So it's just like we created this whole other world, and like depending, like some people, depending on like whether or not your family comes from a civil superpower, a European country or an Asian country that has had civilized society for like many generations, you may be part of a line of people that hasn't put their feet in the grass in generations, of people that hasn't spent a significant amount of time like looking in the forest or looking at the sky, because y'all been trapped in a city looking at whatever is the thing that's getting your bills paid all the time. And that puts you into 9 to 5 mentality instead of grand scales of time when you go out and just look at the fucking stars and watch the seasons go by, instead of every day got to check this hour and check this minute and check. Like humans have the ability to look in a microscope, right, and see small shit, or they look in a telescope and they can see the stars. Mm-hmm. Time and space are intertwined, and when you're consistently looking at minutes and hours, it messes up your perspective to be able to see the grand scales of time which we exist in. So like, I think that there's many things that's been like even to the fact that like right now we're going to have our hour with each other or 30 minutes with each other, and I'm speaking in English because English is a great way to say a lot of things really fast with people being able to understand what you're saying in a brief period of time. That's why different people in different countries use English as a language for business. So whenever they're meeting in the little bit of time that they have that's very important, they're able to say things and mean what they say, because in different languages it's not all about definitive reductionism. Like in other languages it's about nature, or it's about emotions, or it's about connecting with somebody else.
Actual expression. You
know what I'm saying? So like right now we're utilizing the tools that we've been given to be able to communicate with each other in this brief period of time that we have with each other in this very high pace, high fast business society. And like whenever I am in my real vibe and whenever I'm in my real alignment, people talking in English in this way sounds like because for real, like that's what's like, we're like the little flies buzzing around, you know what I mean? Like everything's on its own time. Like a fly or a bee buzzing around seems like fast to us, but in their reality they're going at their own speed.
That's their pace. That's all they know too. They don't have time to overthink and underthink. Like that's pure just like, like instincts. That's just what they do. Yep.
And like we're all slow to them. But like on our reality, they're moving fast, we're moving slow, and then there's other things that's moving slower than us. You know what I'm saying? Like the trees. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers, like, that's the funniest shit to me when people start tripping for the first time and they're like, the trees are alive. It's like, they've been alive your whole life. You just been moving so goddamn fast you didn't see them. Like, you really didn't see them breathing and being alive because you were moving so fast. Like, so I'm just like, there's scales to this shit. And, like, we need to really wind back down. We're generationally, like, you got to remember, like I said, we're your grandparents or great-grandparents, whatever, however many generations, that's how deep entrenched we are into this shit. That's how much energy it's going to really take to stick your fucking heels in the ground, pump the brakes, and stop participating in this fucking colonial zombie. It's a headless horseman. That's what I call a society. It's a colonial zombie. All these motherfuckers is like, I believe in the founding fathers and the Constitution and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, bro, motherfuckers are dead. They literally are decapitated. So you're running a headless horseman as the driving force of your society. You're saying that I believe in what these motherfuckers said 400 years ago so much. The world has changed so much since then. But we're like, no, the Constitution, this is our, like, bro, are you kidding me? It's the colonial zombie. So, like, how are we going to pump the brakes on this shit so that we can go take that shit in a different trajectory? Because, like, this is what we have to do as the grand alchemists, as the growing community consciousness, as the growing global consciousness of the young people that's growing into our birthright, which is this planet You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's our role to understand the alchemy of the situation, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, that we have to take the systems that were given to us and transform them into the systems that we want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, that's fucking I love that shit. That's fucking awesome.
Hey,
Shit, man. I do want to pivot a little bit. So one thing that you say a lot too is, and we've been talking a lot about psychedelics, but all mushrooms are magic.
yeah,
And
I mean,
so why do you say that? And if you could kind of talk about maybe some of the other mushrooms. I know that you are particularly fucking love cordyceps, so definitely want to get into that too. But why do you say all mushrooms are magic to people that might not understand that?
because a lot of people are disillusioned with magic, right? Like a lot of people are so desensitized from the high energy environments that we've been existing in that they're like, the magic mushrooms are the ones that make me get high as fuck, right? But
Speaking of getting high.
you know what I'm saying? And like for me, it geeks me out, right, a little bit, because I know a lot of people that are incapable of going to go sit down in the grass at the park and just like look at the beautiful
Just vibe.
clouds and just vibe and just have, unless they're high on mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
The fuck, that shit's crazy, right? Like it's the type of people that like wake up in the morning and like open up their social media and literally like scroll past fucking like insane production value, people literally dancing and singing, which takes like what's like thousands of years worth of trained in like training. Like when you're looking at these people dancing, this is culture of thousands of years of humans figuring out how to do this choreography, thousands of years of people figuring out how to like reach these notes and do these things. And motherfuckers like, oh, ain't enough. Like I'm just gonna keep like something that's actually entertaining me.
It's
You know
not
what I mean?
moving fast enough. I'm gonna go. That's not, dude. We live it like we're so fucking 80. Like our average attention span's like 7 seconds or some shit.
Right? So like when I say all mushrooms are magic, I'm leaning towards the fact that's like there's so much magic in the things that's like you have to like slow down for. Like you have to like people are disillusioned like at the fact that they will pass this mushroom and just think that it's just a common thing or like a or just like a little dirty thing or something and not realize that like that one little mushroom might be able to like cure your ailments or fucking build you a house or like feed you for the rest. Like people don't know. Like I could pick up one cordyceps out the forest, right? Hold that shit in my hand and know that it'll make thousands of people thousands of dollars. Just
Mhm.
one little interaction I had in the forest. Tell me that shit's not magic. Not only will it make thousands of people thousands of dollars, but it'll make thousands of people thousands of dollars by providing beneficial compounds to people's bodies. And I just found that shit just chilling in the woods. And so like each interaction that I'm having with these mushrooms, it's just like, holy fuck, like I could take this to the lab and we can grow it and people could eat this and like so many people could benefit from this. And it's just like that shit is magic, bro.
Yeah.
Like fuck we talking about? Like so like I say all mushrooms are magic because I think that it helps people in understanding like it helped to break that desensitization or that disillusion experience of
You have to
like
be high in order for something to be magic.
bro, if you only knew what was in your front lawn, like you know what I mean, like if people only knew what was in their front lawn, and like I may be like ragging on people that like need psychedelics to go sit on their front lawn. I don't blame you. When you've grown up with like billboard advertisements and porn around your like literally sex sells, so they put that shit everywhere, and it's just like super sweet foods and hydrogenated oils and salts. I don't blame people for being so desensitized and disillusioned. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like
And I'm glad that
you
you
need to
brought
take
that
this.
up
You
too,
know what I mean?
because I mean, I again, I grew up like I have no idea where the fuck my family came from. Like they moved to a city, they went to New York fucking city, like literally like concrete, like nothing is fucking real out there and shit. And then they came to California, eventually met there. But like, if you just grow up in this like narrow view mindset and you're not given anything and you're taught in the systems that are basically creating this societal issues and like all that shit to begin with, like you have no reason to think otherwise until there's something that just hits you in the face that forces you to. For me, that was psychedelics, and that's why I think
Mhm.
we're seeing this kind of psychedelic revolution and psychedelic renaissance, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. But like that's the thing that really sparked this interest in me and made me start going down this road. But like for the
Mm-hmm.
people that haven't done that yet and they're still like living in these systems and doing just fine, like I understand why there's no reason why they would want to think this way. Like, why would you voluntarily want to have your whole worldview just blown apart if everything's going well for you?
right? I mean, like for me that situation that triggered me was like being black in America, bro. Like that shit's just real as fuck. Like people talk about set and setting all the time, and like it's a lot of white people talking about set and setting, and like you can go to Detroit and go see like the real psychedelic conferences, and not like the real ones, but like the ones where motherfuckers is like the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like, being, you can't change that set and setting. Like that was the one thing with my trips. That was the one thing with even before I was tripping. Like my grandparents grew me up on that shit. Like it's just different. Like we didn't have the same opportunities. We didn't have the same generational wealth, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that you did. I mean, like but like
It doesn't matter. It's like the fact that like I don't know, people like kind of tiptoe over the subject, and like everybody doesn't want to like hurt everybody else and like watch other people's feelings, but like we need to just be able to say shit as it is, like without
yeah,
getting hurt from it. Like it's not our fault that we grew up in these situations, and like it's
mm-hmm.
not our fault that my family did all this. It's just a fact.
It's
Accept
just
it as fact and move the fuck on, and like figure
yep.
out like how do we then now collectively figure out where to go from here that's best for the collective. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, all this shit happens. It needs to be acknowledged, absolutely. But like accept it as fact, take responsibility for it, and just like figure out how do we move together as one.
Mm-hmm. And like to wrap up that thought, like for me, like it was like I didn't really have much to lose in letting myself go all the way. Like you know what I mean? Like I would like 1 in 3 black men in the United States is gonna get arrested. That's statistical facts, bro. That shit happens. Like happened to me. So you know what I mean? It's like I was at the position, and that's how I was able to like gain such deep knowledge, because like a lot of people aren't willing to let themselves go because they have like, like shit's okay.
Things.
You know what I mean? Like shit's like, bed's warm, it'll be
Shit's
there.
not
Like
going bad
uh,
quite yet,
yeah.
so I don't wanna fuck with that.
And I like, but like the thing is like I don't know. I've been to a bunch of different therapy throughout my life, and like a good therapist will tell you like you need to like understand your problem, or you need to accept that you have a problem in order to get over it, right? So it's like
Mhm.
as a global collective, like I don't think that a lot of people have accepted that we fucked up.
We're sick.
like,
Like this
a
is
lot of
we
people,
are collectively sick.
a lot of people are like worshiping like literal like the
Dead
anti,
people.
like yeah, not just that, because like I worship dead people, bro. Like it comes
True.
like Western African Caribbean culture, voodoo, hoodoo, all that vibes. Like the first time I was tripping, I was talking to dead people, and it's like ancestor work. It could be ancestor work. It could be fucking helping all these crazy civil war ass people that's dead over here in Pennsylvania, bro. I'm living in the fucking original colonies where like Gettysburg is like right down the road, bro. A lot of people like did not like fulfill their existence. A lot of people were young men that got thrown into old men's wars, and like didn't like, bro, like
Did not have
you
a
talk about
choice.
energy, but like it doesn't have to be weird like that. And it's like, but like it's not even like worshiping like the dead people in that sense. It's like a lot of people like a lot of people will congratulate you if you're like a cutthroat business guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just are like, fuck everybody, I'm making this money. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, that's great. Look at this person doing so good in society, bro. Like and like that perpetuates kids thinking that it's okay to be an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like now it's like to the point where with the reduced attention span, a lot of children are growing up seeing that like the most successful people are the people that are willing to do the most shock value shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like that is like celebrated. Like so we're out here celebrating people that's like fucking inking up their whole face, like running around doing pranks and stupid ass shit in the public
And they're
because
doing it
it's,
for other people too, which
you know what I
is
mean?
which like that, like I have no problem with any of that, and like do
Same.
what makes you happy, like do your artistic expression, but do it because you love it, do it because of you, don't do it
Yeah,
for other people. Like that's the thing that I think people don't understand when this stuff celebrated is like there are some people that are really doing this because like that's them and they fuck
that's who
with
they
it.
are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like it like but like when society celebrates that shit, and like you grow up just thinking like, oh, like it's good to do things that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, like people will celebrate you for your profit margins, like whenever you did fucking your employees
Whenever
are
you
not
just
making good
whenever you just
wages.
laid
You can,
off fucking 1,000 employees and now your fucking shareholder value is going up because now
yeah,
1,000 people are out of a job.
yeah. So like
Cool.
we got to get past our culture celebrating that kind of energy, because it just like it. it makes a lot of people grow up in a society where they just think that that's okay. Like,
That's the society that I grew up in right there. Like I was all business, and I think that a lot of that does come from like being in like a Jewish background. Like I mean, the fucking stereotypes, like we're all good with money, we have a bunch of money. Like to an extent, that's kind of true. Like there's a reason, like if you actually look throughout history, why there are a lot of Jews that actually do have a bunch of money is because they were the only people that were allowed to lend money to Christians and charge interest on it. So Christians weren't allowed to lend money, so Jews then had to take that on. And so
mhm.
that's how that actually started throughout history. But either way, that's now been perpetuated and sort of blown up out of proportion now. But like a lot of the things that we valued growing up was, how do you become a successful businessman? How do you make a lot of money? And so like that's what I grew up thinking. And then it wasn't until I really started taking psychedelics that I'm like, okay, this is not the most important thing in the world. A lot of this shit is fake. This isn't making me happy. Let me go do something that makes me happy, and like simply just trust that the universe is going to have my back, and like I'm not going to be fucking broke, but whatever that really even means. But again, like the whole system just kind of needs to change in what we consider wealthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on that tip. Like, I'm right now about to secure some land, and as I secure land, I'm making space for people. I've seen the extremes of wealth, right? I've seen like people making making 5 figures a day, spending 5 figures a day. I've seen all the way up to like the people that fucking founded Microsoft type shit, and like I've worked in the fucking um, the Rockefellers, old old properties in New York. Like I've interacted with a lot of different wealth, and like to see the disparity in wealth, to like go back home to where I live and to see my friends and the way that they live, and like the money and what people think there's a lot of money around in different places, and it's just like holy shit, right? Like it's at this point where like when I go to LA and I walk into like a grocery store like Erewhon, and I don't know if you've ever been in there, but
Mm-hmm.
like in this grocery store, you can walk around in there and know that like the products you're picking up, like nobody's doing slave labor, there's no child labor going in this, it's organic, it's not sprayed, and blah blah blah. You don't have to think about it. It's all clean, it's all good. Everything's expensive as fuck, right? And like for me, it's like it translates into the same thing. Like many of my homies can't afford to just be going out hiking unless we're gaining value from our hike. We have to be foraging mushrooms or something, because to go hike, you have to be able to afford to not be working for that time that you're hiking, and then just afford to just be out there leisurely. Like people don't have leisure time, bro. Like most people on the ends don't have leisure time. So like art and like we can't afford the organic food type shit. So it's just like it's like yo, a lot of people are just straight cut off from nature. Like they're only interacting with something that's processed by human ideology. So it's like it's wealthy. You have to have wealth to be interacting with nature. So like what I'm trying to do for the homies is access land, and then just be like, here is space, and that you can do whatever, and I'm not going to charge you out the wazoo to be alive here. Like if you don't have some space to be, it costs bread every single day to just be existing in the world. It's like we've in creating our urban environments, we've created figurative deserts where the energy is all tapped up into private spaces, and if you can't access it, then you don't get to drink the water or get the food. Like it's all the energy's in the wires, all the energy's in the grocery stores, strongholded. They got security in that bitch. If you look like you don't got bread, you can't even walk in that bitch. Like like they treat you know what I mean, it treat people different by the classes of it all, and like it's just like I don't know. When I was young and I started smoking weed, I skipped school one day. I got really fucking high and I sat on my bed and I said, "Who fucked this up? Who fucked this up? And why is babies being born that doesn't get to just chill by the water and just eat the fruit that comes off the tree? Why do they got to go to work? Why do
and
I got
just
to go to
and
work?"
just enjoy existing. Like I
Right?
think we forget like just our pure existence. Like this is the
That's our
biggest
birthright.
fucking blessing that we've ever
Yep.
been given. And so like people live their entire lives without ever getting the opportunity to even realize that and understand that like just our fucking existence, like that's it. There's nothing else on this world that we need to do other than just
We
exist.
won the
And
fucking
so many people
lottery.
don't get to.
Yep. We won the fucking lottery. We're here, incarnate, blood pumping, breathing on Earth. Yo, we're here on Earth. You know what I mean? It's like again, because the people that came before us didn't do it, and like God bless, like all the energy and all the blessings to all of the people that came before us that tried to uphold the spirit of nature and the spirit of goodness, because that's what we're making space for, right? because people are bastardizing the spirit of nature and the spirit of goodness. I need that shit for my kids. I need that shit for the next 7 generations. I need that shit because I need the spirit of goodness and the spirit of nature to thrive in through the omniverse, because that's the good vibrations. And I've tripped out my body, bro. Like, I have been out of body on multiple occasions. I've traveled through space and time, through fucking the hyperspace. I am very, very aware that there is an infinite possibility that I might exist again somewhere in reality, somewhere through the omniverse. And
And
if
they
I don't
already
clean,
have.
you know what I mean? And I already have, right? And I'm saying, like, if I don't clean up this mess, there's a potential that it will perpetuate and fester and turn into something worse. And then I might be born into that shit. Like, fuck,
and,
I'm not doing that shit.
and then I got a whole new problem to figure out
Bro,
in that
and it's
life.
not even just about me, because when, like, again, another thing that happens when people get real deep into these psychedelic experiences is they're just like, oh, everything's one, all
It's
is one, we're
everybody.
all
It's
one,
everybody. Yeah.
right, like like bro, I've been so deep in that shit that I identify with that shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I bring myself into these social realms
Yeah.
and identify myself as William Padilla-Brown and walk around like this and talk like this for the sake of interacting and translating in a way that people can understand what I'm saying, in a way that people can interact with me. But who I am is everything.
It's deeper.
Just like you, just like everybody else. And when you identify with that shit, you're just like, how can I let this fester for me?
Yeah.
How can I let this fester for all? You know what I mean? Like whether I'm here incarnate, whether I'm not, people are still gonna be interacting with this, whether it's this reality or not. This shit cannot perpetuate. Like, this
Yeah.
is like, it's not like it's people are being born into suffering. No baby should be born in with bombs falling on their fucking head so that we can be running around in our cars, driving around all nice, feeling secure with our insurance and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck no, that's not acceptable. I cannot be having fun at the expense of somebody else. No way. And when you get far enough that you can see when you're spending your dollar that somebody is hurting in a different country, you can't stand for that shit no more.
Yeah.
You have to figure out a way to translate that shit.
Yeah. Now we're running out of time here. I fucking love this entire conversation, but want to be respectful. The last thing I do want to talk about, just because I do know it's coming up, is I believe 9th annual MycoFest coming up.
It's the 9th year that from when we
9th year.
started, but
Okay,
we
got
did
it.
miss one because of the pandemic. So it's
Okay,
like the
gotcha.
8th one. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely just wanted to talk about that and kind of hear about you. Like, what are you excited for this one? Like, anything else that you're doing a little bit differently this year? And I mean, why you even started to begin with?
Right on, yeah. So, like, I first started the festival because, like, there weren't any mushroom festivals that were near me, and I wanted to be able to, like, interact with a bunch of people that was, like, nerding out on the same thing. So, like, back then it was like the Telluride Mushroom Festival or the Radical Mycology Convergence, which only came up like every couple years or something, and it'd be in different places. So, like, I wanted something consistent to build community and to have these conversations in person, because, like, we're having them online, but, like, just like I said, in person is, like, is real life. You can, like, interact with people. You can really connect with people. You can be in their field. You know what I mean? So, like I started and I wanted to make it affordable for all of the people in the Northeast and Mid Atlantic. So, like, where I live, like 40% of the U.S. population is a day's drive away from where I am. So it's like it's a perfect place to set a mushroom festival and get all these young people to start coming in. So I started back in 2015. I made it affordable, 3-day festival, camping. I used to provide food, but now we have food trucks and stuff like that because it's getting like too many people. But we brought in as many experts as we could originally from just like the Northeast and Mid Atlantic, and eventually it started expanding out to like a national thing. But yeah, we do 3 days. We do classes throughout the days. We do workshops throughout the days. There's live art. Then we do live art and music at night, and just vibe with each other. It's a great place for networking. We dance, we learn together, we eat together. A lot of people, meet up with each other. I've seen people start businesses with each other. A lot of people come out and vend and do good business there. And it's just really like holding a container for creating new realities, or for people to interact with new realities, because a lot of people like see this stuff on the screen, see people doing this with the mushroom materials, see people doing this with the mushroom foods, see people growing all these different things, but like don't really get to interact with it, taste it, touch it, see it, feel it. So we create this container for people to be able to interact with it, see that it's viable, and then learn from these experts to see how they can integrate these kinds of things into their lives. So we're just amplifying on that. Yeah, it's coming up August 4th through the 6th. You can check us out, mycofest.net. Join the wave. We got a whole bunch of truffle energy coming this year. We got a truffle expert coming out from Oregon. We're working on getting some truffle dogs in because a lot of people don't even know that there are gourmet truffles that grow wild in Pennsylvania. With our hubris, we're already cultivating European truffles in Pennsylvania before we even knew that there was wild native amazing truffles out here. So every year we're just working on emphasizing the value of nature. Getting more people eco-literate. So that's really the mission, is to amplify eco-literacy in the wonderful national treasure of a state of Pennsylvania, so that we can amplify on the natural value here and protect it.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate that. And then I guess last thing I do want to ask, is there, I guess, any speaker, any specific thing you're doing this year that like you're like geeked out on?
Shit, is the Stanford thing public? Well, I'm doing Soho House next month or in August. Wait, that's next month. Yeah, it's July, right? Is it July yet?
Tomorrow.
Yo, I'm doing Soho House LA. I'm doing a panel on psychedelics in Soho House LA in August. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna be posting up information about that. But like that's a power play, you know what I mean? Like I used to just be out here serving tables in central Pennsylvania. So like, we're making big moves for the culture, big moves for new realities, big moves for the spirit of nature, you feel me? So like, the real ones recognized.
Hell yeah, man. It's fucking awesome. Like it's fucking pleasure meeting you at Psychedelic Science. I'm so glad we were able to connect. Glad we were able to do this, and so much love to you, brother.
For surely, for surely. Thanks for giving me a platform.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And thank you again to Will for coming on the podcast and chopping it up with me. If you have any thoughts, questions, opinions, anything like that, feel free to shoot me a DM at tripsitting.blog on Instagram and TikTok, or feel free to shoot me an email at tripsittingblog@gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week.